This story begins with a boy and his mother who unfortunately could not stay to watch him play. His name was LeBron James, a boy who loves the Looney Tunes, the Game Boy, and of course he was the best in basketball, but that was not shown by that night. That's why his coach told him to focus and not get distracted, so he would become someone very important. Since then, LeBron James was climbing rapidly in the NBA. He was a crack who always played. He was shooting. The sport's most precious player in basketball's new legacy, named Darius, was focused on the game, and the other on video games. His name was Tom, and when he wanted to shoot he failed, and his father saw him scolding, telling him if he was going to be in their court should endeavor. But the child was not such a fan of basketball. The wife of LeBron asked not what force much, because what if they were interested in other things beyond basketball. He was even designing his own video games, so LeBron came to his senses. The next day at the Warner Brothers Studios, on these servers we see a guy spying on LeBron James because he was the king and he needed it to stop being an algorithm since he was locked in the service and dreamed of being recognized just like him. So Warner Brothers would launch a technology to join it with LeBron would be recognized worldwide, so he launched a campaign proposal. Then we see Dom doing his thing when suddenly a reminder came to him from the video game camp, and when his father arrived he saved everything and showed him how his video game worked, which was based on basketball, but more fun. But out of nowhere his game got bugged, what Cyberpunk 2077, and the system crashed. Seeing his effort, his dad encouraged him and invited him to the movies, literally to the studios, where the algorithm told LeBron James about the Technology 3000, in which he would be scanned to be on the big screen against Batman in a Game of Thrones awards and much more. But this did not convince him since he was not an actor, he was an athlete, and he rejected it. Upon hearing this the algorithm he was angry, but hearing his son Duem defend the project, who loved the idea. He was designing video games that he liked everything is and subject told his dad that he would not be any basketball player, but a creator. With this algorithm exploded, it felt so humiliated that LeBron James rejected him, so I followed him and took straight towards him. Meanwhile Don M told his dad that he made him hate basketball, and out of nowhere they entered the server floor, so Don M entered losing sight of his father when out of nowhere he disappeared, both arriving pixelated to a cybernetic world, to the serververse. LeBron was terrified and at the sight of the algorithm is scared. The algorithm gave the welcome server Warner Brothers and then disappeared to son because the algorithm you said there should have rejected his idea and to take back her son was playing basketball with him with a very large audience, so that when seeing them together the algorithm would be very famous and everyone would know who he is. If he won he would return with his son, but if not, he would stay there with him forever, so he sent him to the world of the rejected, to the one of the Looney Tunes, turning it cartoon. The place was lonely and abandoned, but not the whole, and it suddenly comes Bugs Bunny. LeBron was so happy to see him, but the Easter Bunny too was annoying, because it took a long time without company and told that the algorithm took all his friends leaving him alone, so they had to do something. They had to gather a team to win, with this Bugs Bunny called Marvin the Martian to steal his ship and thus escape, leaving him flying in the world of Looney Tunes. Meanwhile his son was having a great time with the algorithm, who told him that his father abandoned him and that he challenged him to play a basketball game since it was the only thing that mattered to him. The point is that the algorithm creates a bond with the child by telling him that he was a great creator with a lot of potential, so he told him, and he will help him with his video game. Meanwhile LeBron and Bugs flew by him Warnerverse looking for his dream team, but the king was looking for other types of characters such as Superman, Lincoln, Batman, and so they passed through the world of Harry Potter to the one of DC and comics where Daffy Duck was as a super fan, so they tried to recruit him, but it only brought problems, so the Justice League came and they took him off the planet, so they moved to the world of Mad Max where the Coyote and was the Roadrunner, then recruited Sylvester and Elmer Fudd. Then an old movie found Sam Mustaches. Even in the world of Rick and Morty was Tas Demon of Tasmania. Then out of the world Game of Thrones by the Gallo Claudio they found their grandmother and Speedy Gonzales in the world of Matrix, but LeBron did not agree. It was not the team he asked for. Neither of them was a great player, so they went to the woman's comic wonder, where he was Lola Bunny, who wanted to become a horsewoman, but Bugs Bunny that was bothering her, but to her was not interested, but in the end accepted and became a horsewoman. Now I already had the full Teen Toons squad. By on the other hand, the algorithm and Duem tested his video game. He taught the algorithm that with only his phone he managed to do many things. Then the algorithm stole his code and his ideas behind his back, and then he created a father against son event. Returning with the uni tried to agree, but everything was a disaster. They played in their own way with dynamite bombs and everything crazy, giving it a funny touch. Meanwhile, in the real world, James's manager was looking for him since he disappeared out of nowhere, and everything got worse when the wife arrived. On the other hand, Tom and the algorithm created the perfect player for his basketball team so that his father will respect him in his game and with his rules, so the algorithm improved him. The fact is that the family, they were looking for the book in the Warner Bros. Studios when suddenly they got a tweet of the father-son fight. Hey. Live game. Meanwhile, the guys went back to their world because there was an hour left for the game, so LeBron tried to train them, but they were a disaster and unfortunately their time ran out. The world of the Looney Tunes was destroyed and the algorithm arrived. It improved the appearance of the characters and books like live action. Clearly they did not like this. Then everything came the public, from mystery to order, dragon, King Kong, the Gremlins, and much more. On the other hand, the James family entered the servers. While the game was about to start, all spectators from the real world came directly to the event, complete with commentators and family. LeBron James, to which he could no longer play, that were in the game. Dom, surrounded as a pure fan of that of LeBron, but now have a new king, and if they won, all remain in their server verse, and the Looney Tunes would be erased. Then we are presented with Gun Squat with basketball superstars mixed with animals, and then LeBron's son, Dom. Feeling glorious, the boy did not believe his father that everyone was in danger, and that the algorithm was controlling him, so James just had to win the match. The game started and the sun flew out of nowhere, and with the help of his Web Fire team and the Viper made their first basket. But this was not basketball, it was something very different, where basically there were no rules. The game was unfair since the Tunis squad had not made a basket, so bugs him. He told LeBron that they had to do it their way, but since he didn't follow the game, it ended up crashing. Then the algorithm left Dom on the bench to bring his super replacement, Kronos, who stopped time, took the ball and scored, making a fool of the king, discouraging the entire team completely. When out of nowhere the legend came, the boss of the bosses, who would save the film. We all thought that Michael Jordan, but it was not Michael B. Jordan, actor. I had no end thoughts as he tried to cheer, but LeBron was too heavy with them, but came to his senses, and they told them to play as they know how. Said that the Looney Tunes came with everything, with his jokes, with their games, and thus they scored. Then they made a rap battle that gave them many points. The demon did his thing and stole the game. Now the whole public supported the Looney Tunes, putting thousands of baskets with everything and coyotes. They were at 2 to tie the other team, so the algorithm called Kronos again, but the old lady got in, put it in its place and scored. Little by little the Tunis overcame them, so the algorithm went crazy and scolded to son. So LeBron James stopped the game and talked to his son. He told him that his game was amazing. He apologized for not seeing how talented he was and forcing him to do something he did not like. He wanted him to be himself, and that he loved him. With this, they reconciled, and Du left with the team of his father until he was given a jersey. With this, algorithm was turned into a giant player such as LeBron. The game was as tough as the algorithm robbed them points and added, but your NES not lose hope, and with just 10 seconds remaining, Bugs Bunny made short PRO gave him the opportunity to LeBron to catch up and score, and the game ended and the Looney Tunes won the game. Everyone was so happy. The people returned to the real world. LeBron James reconciled with his son, but unfortunately the poor bunny Bugs kept short, and so they returned to the real world. Tun's world was rebuilt. Bugs Bunny it was to order. The father understood the child's family was reunited, and Du finally went to their camp video game, but still focus on basketball. Out of nowhere came Bugs Bunny, as he could survive anything because it was a cartoon. Thus ends the new legacy of Space Jam.